guys, it's Appleminte. Welcome back again to my channel and happy Friday. As you guys may know, I've been doing a lot more digital artwork lately, but I also do still enjoy traditional art, don't get me wrong. So for today's video, I wanted to do a bit of a fusion of the two of them. I want to compare the same piece of artwork done in traditional and digital and just see how they stack up between my techniques that I use for both. I thought that would make for a fun little video. As you can see, I am using Bristol paper for this illustration today, which is one of my papers of choice when I do artwork with alcohol markers. I find that it just works really well. The markers blend well and it doesn't bleed too badly compared to some other papers. But as an alternative, I also like to use Canson Mixed Media XL paper. I get a lot of questions on the paper that I like to use for markers or what's good for markers. So those are my two that I kind of go back and forth between. I'm also going to be drawing the character of Yenkos, who is a new VTuber on the scene on Twitch, but she's also an artist that I've followed on Twitter and Instagram for a long time. I just really enjoy her artwork. It's very soft and I just like her style a lot, so I wanted to draw her main character, her VTuber, today for this video, so she's kind of my little subject, and I definitely recommend going to check her out if you don't know her already or if you don't follow her. She's really fun to watch on Twitch and I just love her character, like I said, and her art style, so check her out. Anyway, I am sketching using my Cool Erase pencil, which I really like these Prismacolor Cool Erase pencils when I'm sketching because they're just very soft and I just like sketching in colors. I think it looks a lot better than graphite, but I mean, not only that, graphite, mechanical pencils, you know, whatever you use, those I think tend to smudge a lot more. So I barely do sketches or drawings using pencil anymore these days, regular pencil, because I just find that especially when I have to go in and do line art afterward, I'm not very fond of having to erase pencil because I think it creates a lot more smudges. It has a higher chance of kind of marking up the paper. Even after you erase, you can still see all the under markings from the pencil that was there before. Rather, when you're using like a light colored pencil that's erasable like these, I find that they're a lot easier to hide. Granted, of course, you don't press really hard on the paper when you're sketching. You should never do that when you're sketching. Try to keep it light. Though sometimes I do that by accident, but whatever. Anyway, I'm just using my normal techniques for coloring here. I really love coloring in the face. I think that always livens up the artwork a lot because I find that whenever I'm drawing and I'm doing line art, whether it be traditional or digital, it doesn't matter. A lot of artists talk about the ugly phase of their artwork, and it's really just the phase of your art where you have to put in, you know, some form of details, or you got to do something. You're in a stage of it where it looks kind of wonky, of course, until it gets to the finished product, and then it kind of all comes together with all the details. But there's always that stage where your artwork is kind of weird, and a lot of people can get discouraged in that stage. Sometimes when I'm drawing, and it's usually for me like right after I do the line art and I start adding in like just flat color, is when I'll start to kind of hate it because it's not done, it's not shaded. For me, my artwork kind of comes together once I start shading, especially the face, since the way I tend to draw mouths and noses, I don't really draw on the lips. I don't really, you know, I put little dots and stuff for the nostrils, and so that always looks kind of weird uncolored. So I guess this is a little tangent, but yeah, I always find that it looks a lot better when I go in with color and then I add the lips and the cheeks and everything comes to life. So I always feel a little self-conscious when I'm drawing and people see me do just the sketch or the line art without any of the shading behind it. It's just a little weird to look at. I'm sure some of you can relate to that. But anyway, coloring this was a lot of fun. I purposely I purposely lined the flowers that are underneath her skirt in red because those are going to be colored in golds and oranges, as you can see. So I think it looks a lot better to have those be a lighter color and not so harshly lined. I could have lined more of this in different colors, but sometimes I find that the colored liners that I have bleed a little bit sometimes, so, and it happens with the black ones too, but depends which ones I'm using. But sometimes I find more bleeding with the the colored multi-liners that I have. So I have a little bit of difficulty with that, so I tend to kind of stick to my comfort zone, which is just the black fine liners and stuff. But you know, I probably, if I had to do this piece again traditionally, I probably would try to be a little bit more, I guess, adventurous with the line art colors. I think colored line art is a thing that really can take your drawing to another level. Because I already love the way the skirt looks, and so at this point in the coloring process, I was kind of kicking myself for not doing it on the rest of the piece, maybe on the shirt and making the hair lighter color and, you know, stuff like that. But overall, I'm happy with the way she came out, and, you know, for me, traditional art is a lot more final, I guess, because you can't move things around, you can't edit things constantly when you're not happy with the way a pose looks or something. You have to redraw things, you have to keep it light because it's just not the same as digital. But anyway, here is her done traditionally. I like the way she came out, I hope you do, and now I'm going to work on her digitally. So the program that I'm using for my digital artwork is Procreate on my iPad. I get a lot of questions about what software I use as well. So last time I checked, it was $10 when I got it 2.5 years ago. I don't know if that's the same price, but I think it should be. And I think Procreate is going to be adding more features like animation and things like that. Like, I don't know how fleshed out it's going to be, but I mean, they're adding more stuff, which I'm pretty excited for since this is exclusively the program I use for digital art. But I'm just doing a rough sketch here. I found some new brushes that I like recently for sketching. They're a lot lighter. I got them from Lotus Bubble on her Patreon, so check her out if you want to get access to some of the brushes she uses and some of the recommendations. But I find them really good for sketching. They're very light and they look like pencils. So during the sketching phase, it's really important not to commit too much to what you're drawing, and I find it easier if you have a fluffier, lighter pencil brush. And as you can see, for certain parts of her, like for the face and hair, I was using the symmetry tool because I wanted her looking straightforward, so I wanted her to look pretty symmetrical on this. But the rest of her is not symmetrical. But anyway, this is the line art process, which I've sped up a little bit more compared to everything else. As you guys might know, I am not the most fond of line art. I just find it very, very tedious because I've already drawn the drawing or I've already sketched it, and it's kind of like, oh, now I gotta draw it again, but with even more nuance and attention to like the fine detail, because the line art's a big deal. It makes a big difference in your art piece, you know. Whatever line weight you choose to use, or however you color the line art and things like that, it really adds a different feeling to your drawing. So you have to give good attention to it. At least that's how I look at it. Not everybody uses line art even, so, but for me, I do. Anyway, now I'm just going in and I am filling in all of the base colors. Like I said, this is the phase when I start to feel like, oh, this looks a little wonky. Her face is a little off, and I'm like really, really, really itching to just like shade her face so I don't have to look at it being a little off. But I try to tough this part out because as much as I want to start shading, I really don't want to commit to anything until I've blocked everything out, just in case I have changes that I want to make, or I realize I want to use a different form of shading, maybe using a different layer mode, or I want to add like a filter over this later or something. I try not to commit too much until I've kind of looked at the piece with all the base colors, and then I can be like, okay, this is what I want, and go in and shade, because it sucks to put time into shading and things like that only to have to change it all, an hour later, which I've done quite a bit. But something that I like about digital artwork over traditional is the fact that you can get a lot finer detail, and I can spend, I think this piece specifically took me about 8 hours, I want to say, digitally, maybe 7 hours, I can't remember exactly, whereas the traditional piece probably took me about 2 to 3. So I'm a lot faster when it comes to traditional. Digital takes a lot longer, but I do like that I can get a lot of fine detail. I can really zoom into different places and make a big difference with just small details. I've gotten people saying that they like my traditional art better than they like my digital, or they like traditional in general better than digital. And that's fine. Everybody's entitled to an opinion, but I mean, they're both forms of art. They're both different mediums, and you can choose to do whichever you like or whichever you feel will fit a certain art piece. A lot of the time, I feel like I can get a lot more adventurous when I'm using digital media to create artwork. So I find that that's why I tend to gravitate toward it a lot more lately, because I'm just really trying to make a lot more detailed drawings, and I feel like I don't get that for me as much out of traditional because I just enjoy using digital a little bit more right now. But anyway, this is her done digitally, and as you can see, I'm just adding in some little details. And when I'm coloring digitally, I try to add in a lot of effects afterward. And when I say effects, I guess I mean more like I'll add extra layers on top with color to kind of give everything a different hue, or I'll add in some lighting afterwards, and it really changes the piece. And I'll often like to add a nice blur effect to the line art. I add a Gaussian blur to that, and it makes it a little softer and all that. So yeah, this is my this is Yenko's done digitally. So whether you like the traditional or the digital version more, please let me know. I'd be interested in hearing your opinions. And I had a lot of fun with both of these, so I really can't complain either way. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching today's video. All of my links are in the description box below. As always, I have a link to my online store, Patreon pin club, Discord server, and my Instagram page. All of that is below, so please check it out. And I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Bye bye!